I think one of the best ways to get accustomed to Adobe Illustrator is to actually try editing other graphics, right? Work with some graphics other people have made and try to kind of understand how they work and how to edit them. So I have this little set of pictures here, and it's sort of like a little kit, right? And I've modified this a little bit so that way you can decide the colors yourself instead of using colors that they have. So I'm essentially going to choose a person, a pet, and then a accessory down here. And there's a few issues with some of these, and I'm going to intentionally choose some of the ones that are problematic just so you can kind of see how to work with it. So first things first, I need to choose which ones I want. So I'll zoom in so I can see them better. And for the most part, they look alright. There's a few little issues with some of them. This one has two different eyes going on, so I'll choose this one so that way you can see how we can sort of fix that issue. So I'll choose this cat. I'm going to drag it over in this direction. And I think I want to make a new artboard specifically for this area. So here's the artboard that I started with, and I can use this tool either to modify the existing one, or I can click in an area and drag to make a new one. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And this is where this cat will reside. I will use the little anchors around the cat here to make him larger. If I don't hold shift, he can become very wonky. I'm going to hold shift so that way he keeps his proportions. And then let's see, which person do I want to use? Do I want to be holding the cat? Maybe I will be holding the cat. Yeah, this is the one that I will choose here. So I will make my character bigger, and then I will right click and bring the cat to front, right, arrange front, and I can try to kind of size the cat to be about the size that I think it should be, maybe kind of around there. Now when I click on these objects, you can sort of see how they're constructed, right? So we can see the neck is basically just this rectangle that's behind the head and the shirt there. We can see the head has actually this round part here that is behind the hair. We can see just some of those different parts, right? The shoes, the feet are actually a little bit bigger, but certain parts are occluded by others. And of course we can also see right now the lines of the arms that are behind the cat, although the cat should be behind the arms but in front of the body. So we'll take care of that in a moment. I'm going to go ahead and grab an accessory, and then I'll talk about recoloring some, and then about how to deal with the arms being behind the cat. So from the accessories, I'm going to choose this ball of yarn for a couple reasons. Notice it's got this weird thing on top, and the lines here are a little weird too, so I'll talk about how to fix those. And you can see some similar issues right here, like this coloration being here inside of the leashes, right? The leashes shouldn't have this coloration here. It should just be the line for the leash, right? And then the collar. So I'll talk about a little bit how to fix that when using this yarn example because it has the same issue. So I'll grab the yarn and bring it over, and I think that's fine. And then a shadow here, both for my own character, but also for the yarn. And once again, I'm scaling this up by dragging the little handles and pulling them the way that I want to go. I actually want this one to be a little warped and to be a little bit wider, right? And I'm okay if I distort that one. And then one for the yarn as well. So I clicked on it, Command C to copy, Command V to paste, and then I can move that new one where I want it to be. I'm going to right click on it and tell it arrange send to back, so that way it's behind the yarn. And now I've got two shadows, which I can modify a little better now that I can actually see where it is. And there we go. So I don't need the rest now. All I kind of need is this area here. So to start out with, let's start with the easy thing, changing the color. I'm going to start with the shadow because that's the easiest of these, right? It's the simplest. So instead of a pink shadow, maybe let's go with sort of a very desaturated bluish gray. Maybe a little bit lighter than that. Maybe somewhere around there, right? Or a little bit less. I don't know. Anyway, something like that, right? I want the two shadows to be the same color. I could try to go in here and match it, but that's not very logical. I have two choices. Well, I have multiple choices. But one of them would be to go in here and copy and paste this color code, this hex value, and I could go into here and paste that hexadecimal value into here, and that would work. Or I can use this little eyedropper tool. So if I have this object selected and I use the eyedropper tool on something else, it will take the color from whatever I click on. So that works. And I think I want to get rid of this black outline because the shadows shouldn't have a black outline. So I'll click the outline to make this sort of my active thing that I'm changing. I'm going to click here for none. So now I just have this gray shadow. Now for parts of my character, I can click on basically any of the parts, and I have an issue though. It gave me everything. So my character is in a group, right? And that makes him very easy to move around, but less easy to edit. So what I can do is I can double click, and that puts me inside of the group. Then I can click on individual parts of the character to change that color. And I could try to find a skin tone, which is typically different shades of orange, depending on, you know, your skin shade, but typically you're looking for shades of orange. And then I will use the eyedropper tool to reproduce that color. I can hold shift to click multiple parts at once. Now additionally, instead of clicking inside of the group the way that I did, I could also instead use this white direct selection tool, and that will actually give me the individual components without having to click inside of the group. It goes directly into the group for me. So maybe I want a light blue shirt, and maybe I want the pants to be kind of a brownish color. And the shoes can be black. Or close to black. Now, there is a little weird bit here. If I double click my character so I can go into the group, you can see not all of the arms actually colored. And this character was designed that way, where the arms are sort of on top of the body or duplicated. So that way it could actually be holding whichever pet you choose. So if I click on these, I can have the same color as the shirt, but I can use that to put them in front of the cat, and I'll show you that in a moment. I need to change the mouth. That's fine. And now what about those arms? So my character is in a group, as I already mentioned. So I can't really put the arms in front as long as they remain in the group. If I right click, I can say ungroup. And now my character has all of these separate components, which is a little messy, but it allows me to click on the arms separate and the hands separate. So I'm holding shift to click on each individual piece. And then I can right click and do arrange, bring to front. And now all those things are in front of the cats, while my body is still behind because the arms and the body are actually separate pieces, even though they look like the same piece. Although maybe I need to move the cat around a little bit because it looks a little odd like that. Maybe the paws of the cat should actually be in front of this arm. Bring to front. I think that looks pretty good. That looks more, I think, the way a cat would sit. I don't think it would want its front paws to be under your arm.